Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the Deluxe Class Transformers Generations IDW Orion Pax figure. Now I have to say I'm pretty impressed with this figure. I do have some gripes, namely the size of the whole figure and the size of the head, but otherwise it's pretty darn good. It's one of the best deluxe figures I've seen in a while, one of the best values I've seen in Transformers in a long time. A lot of the deluxe figures are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. This guy's still a little bit smaller than I would have liked, like I said earlier in the review just a minute ago, but he's still, you get quite a lot. He's got a lot of nice sculpt work and a decent amount of paint applications, so I am quite happy, and 2 accessories. So let's get into it. Start with the robot mode, of course. He stands 5.5 inches just about to the top of this thing, so about 5 1/4 to the top of his head, which is sculpted really well. I think it looks really good. Like a lot of people are complaining about the size, and I have to say I don't agree as much as you might think. I know my reviews are generally pretty harsh, but I don't think his tiny head is all that small. I mean, compared to the comic book, it's really small. I mean, he's got like human proportions right there. But compared to other Transformers and just the way they generally do the G1-esque figures, they're not that, it's not that small. I mean, they generally have a larger bodied, smaller head, really superhero type of proportion. So I'm okay with it. It's not too bad to bug me enough. Alright, so let's look at the accessories real quick, if I can get it out of his hand. First is an axe, which is made all out of this clear orange plastic. They just painted the middle part and this part black. The paint job could be a little better. It's a little fuzzy in some areas, but the plastic, it doesn't feel cheap at all. It's a real nice plastic. The clear part looks really good, and it's nice and translucent, so it's pretty cool. And you can hold it. This part right here, you can see it gets a little bit thicker right there. That's where it fits into his hand, but you can put a second hand on there since this is a big enough type of axe where it would be double-handed, I guess you could say. If you can look though, the hand did scratch off some of the black paint, so that's going to be a bit of an issue for some people. I don't mind too much because it's going to be in his hand anyway, but still, they should have just done something about that, I think. But either way, it's a pretty cool accessory, and it measures 4 inches from stem to stern, so that's a pretty cool piece. And then of course he has an ion blaster, which is very reminiscent of Optimus's blaster. No paint, and it's hollow, but it's got good shape, and it looks cool enough when it's in his hand, so I'm okay with it. It is, I don't know why I'm measuring the accessories, but I will. It's 2 1/4, almost, well, about 2 3/8 inches long, so pretty decent size. And here we have the figure. We've got decent contrast in molded colors, if the camera will focus. So we've got the reds and the grays and the blues and some clear, so lots of different colors in the molded parts. And then we also have the paint, the yellow, the Autobot logo. Mine's a little off center there. It could be better, but that's okay. I'm not going to complain too much. He's got the clear chest piece with the parts inside, so that's a nice touch. The eyes are painted. All the painted parts, they're not like perfect, but they're pretty good. And then we have the silver parts painted in. So it's just, as far as composition goes, it's a pretty good looking figure. I'm pretty happy with it. A lot of the deluxe figures lately have been pretty monotone, or 1 or 2 colors, but this one looks pretty good. And as far as kibble goes, he has almost no backpack. It's just these 2 wheels sticking off the back, which I'm okay with. It's not horrible. And then he has this piece up here, which isn't ideal, but it is there. And I guess, I don't read the comics, but he has that piece on this artwork anyway, so I guess it's fairly accurate, so I'm okay with it. The only real gripe I have with his transformation is that his arms are hollow. That's not so great. There should be another panel. I don't think this goes around anywhere. It doesn't look like it. I just pulled him out of the package, by the way, so I don't have a ton of experience transforming him, so I'm not going to do that on camera. But he does have those hollow arms, unless I find something out as I transform him. I'll comment on that, but as far as I know, he has hollow arms, and I don't care for that. Otherwise, it's pretty darn good. Everything's pretty solid looking. Everything fits together nicely in the chest and the shoulder region. He has the, well, let's go through articulation. The head is on a ball peg, so it swivels and looks up and down. Not a huge range of motion, but pretty decent. Nothing to complain about. The shoulders, once you snap in these pieces, make sure you snap them all the way in. Shoulders swivel on that joint right there. Then it flings out this way through a hinge, and it swivels at the bicep and has an elbow hinge, which is semi-ratcheted. So it's got 90-degree elbow bend. It's just that hollow forearm that looks really bad. And then his hands are molded. There's no articulation, but they're molded pretty well, and they are in a different color, so it looks pretty good. So really, once you get him in a pose, there's really no problems as far as that goes, as far as the hollow arms go. He has a waist twist, which is always nice in a Transformer, not too common. And he has ball hinge hips. Technically, it's just a ball peg with a socket around it, but it gives him the full range of motion. Plus, it has a thigh swivel built in and a knee joint that gives him better than 90 degrees, just by a little bit, but it is there. And then his ankles are essentially, well, it's a ball peg, but it's got a hinge up here also, so you can bring his foot all the way back, all the way forward, as far as the shin armor lets it go, and it has the ability to rock from side to side. So he's got a really good range of motion. He's got essentially the same articulation as like a Marvel Legends figure, so that's pretty good. You can get him in some pretty nice poses with the ankles being posable like that, and the knees and the hips and everything. So I am more than satisfied with the articulation. I'll just put him in a quick pose for you so you can see how it looks, even with the hollow arms. Definitely not as bad as it could have been, so I'm okay with it. So here's the robot mode in a pretty basic pose, but still, that's the kind of thing somebody would probably do for their shelf. He looks great. He looks really, really good. And just for quick comparison, with the Megatron of the same line, they fit in together really nicely, and you could get them in some nice posing, so that's good. The robot mode, I'm giving a 9 out of 10. The head could be a little bit bigger, and the forearms could be filled in, but otherwise he's pretty darn good. One last thing I want to mention before I get into the vehicle mode is that you can put his axe back here, and he can hold his axe like that, which isn't too accurate since you'd be grabbing the blade if you reached up, or since it has this little hump right there, you can stick that up this way, and once you get it in, the wheels will hold it in place, and you could have it like he has it on his back, like he's ready to reach for it. And then, I don't know why they did this, but you can, which way does it go? Hang on a second. One of the things fits into the other. How did it? I saw somebody do that on a thingamajigger. I don't know. I thought you could hold it some way or another, but I'm not seeing it now. So maybe I'm going crazy. Yeah, I think I might be going crazy. Can you put that in there? No, I don't know. Okay, so forget that part. But either way, he's robot mode really, really, really good. Highly impressed with this figure. It definitely satisfied my desire to have an Orion Pax. I don't think, actually I'm almost positive we haven't had a true Orion Pax figure that wasn't just a repaint of somebody else. So it's nice to have one that's pretty good. Okay, let me get him transformed, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, so I have Orion Pax, I almost said Optimus Prime. I have him transformed, and I have to say the vehicle mode is not very good. This whole cab piece, you would think it's going to tuck in. It doesn't tuck in, it just floats like that. So I mean, I know it's not supposed to look like a truck, it's supposed to be Cybertronian, but that's still just ugly. It doesn't look good. The pieces don't fit together very well. During transformation, it feels like it's going to break in a few different places. Some of the parts of the transformation are really smooth and fluid and good, but overall it's pretty unimpressive and kind of a lazy job, I think, not having it tuck in and things like that. So the vehicle mode is nowhere near as good as the robot mode, but I don't imagine most people display their Transformers in vehicle mode anyway. That defeats the purpose of having them turn into robots. So it's not as big a deal as having a bad robot mode, but it isn't very good. I'm going to give the vehicle mode only a 5 out of 10. It does roll okay, but it's still just kind of blah. Not very good. It does have a hole on each side for accessories, so you can peg that in there or that in there. Of course, they're the same size. And that looks stupid, but at least that way you don't lose your stuff if you have that problem. But either way, no, I would not leave him in vehicle mode. It's not very good. The robot mode is really good, so I do recommend the figure, but the vehicle mode is not. Okay, so there it is, guys. Stay tuned for the Megatron review and other figure reviews and custom figures and other good stuff. And in the meantime, let's look at it one last time. I'll give you a measurement before I forget and sign off. Okay, so it's 4 3/4 inches long. So that's it for the vehicle mode. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.